Is that your shadow?
I think, yep, that's me.
We also have the Invisible Man in the car reviewing it with us. So, between this and Trolls, both of them you could conceivably go see very, very high.
Yeah, this movie I'm pretty sure was high.
So was Trolls. Just on different things. This one was on LSD. Trolls was on shrooms and ecstasy. So pick your poison.
You've had an interesting night so far.
Yeah, it's true. It was an interesting double feature. This was the better movie.
And go home and just cap off the night with the real danger, Reefer Madness.
Or the 70s Doctor Strange movie. Starring Johnny Wad.
The other real danger.
I do have a copy of that.
I remember watching that one and thinking it was not terrible.
What I remember the most about 70s Doctor Strange is the villain was great, because it was Jessica Walter, I think, was the villain in that. She was great. The movie was ridiculously slow. I remember that, because it was an unsold pilot, so they put it on as a TV movie, so it was one of those, like the Captain America one, I think, where it was like maybe like 70 minutes into it is when he becomes Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I'm glad this one didn't go quite that route.
Yeah, no.
I'm also glad they didn't give him that ridiculous, like, poofy kind of like Jufro that the 70s.
Yeah, it's like 70s Stephen Strange had.
It's like, Stephen, did you get? Is that a perm or is it genetics? Like, I want to know.
It worked for the time.
Well, yeah, at the time it's like everybody's like sitting around like it's like it's a really good choice on hair.
Yeah, it looks like my dad was playing him in the 1970s. I remember my dad looking exactly like that. Like, let's just clean him up. Let's style the hair a little bit differently. Give him a goatee. Perfect. And he can say shit in this one. This is a really fun movie.
No, I like that. I feel like this one came at just the right time. Mm-hmm. Because the past couple, Avengers movies so far have been a lot more serious in tone. Mm. I mean, granted, not like still none of them were like, like for all like the sort of parallels like Winter Soldier and stuff had with like it's like like them like even in like in Captain America Civil War, them kind of poking fun at like referring to him as the Manchurian Candidate at one point. It's like it never gets as heavy as something like that, like, but I mean it's there was a lot of like real strong feels going on in that one, and heavy like body counts in that one, and like Avengers 2, and it feels like this kind of came at like that right kind of moment, sort of like how Ant-Man did, where it's the right amount of serious, but it also has just a lot of like quick paced like light moments that keep it from ever feeling like fuck me, this is getting some dark places.
Which, yeah, I don't have any problem with that. When I like the fact that we have so many of those movies, and different ones have different tones, different feelings, but they all still feel like they're in the same universe. It's just this story might be a little more serious than the other one. This one might be a little more joke heavy, a little more comedic or slapsticky. It's good to like every now and then throw in a little breather film, like Ant-Man was, like this movie is too.
And yeah, and I think it kind of fills an important role right at the moment too, because after the third Iron Man movie, I mean, like those, like typically that was kind of the position that like those were holding, but then now that you're pretty much only seeing Robert Downey Jr. in them as part of like the big group ensemble movies, are kind of like
He was in the opening logo for the movie.
That very odd new opener for Marvel Studios. I was not a huge fan of that part because I was really confused. Like, I thought they were getting ready to show oh, we're gonna take 5 minutes and do like a World of Marvel catch-up thing. Like, no, it's just a really, really weird opening scene. But
they should include just all Marvel movies in there, not just the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Just to have like Fantastic Four pop up there, or Daredevil, the original good one.
From the trial of the Incredible Hulk?
Yes. Only one as far as I'm concerned.
Nailed it first time. Fucked it up ever since.
They just can't get that shit right. What the fuck?
But no, like I feel like this one, like it comes like, it comes in at a good time, and it kind of fills that void, because especially like looking at the past couple movies featuring Tony Stark and all that, his character has become much darker than where it was, like based on like how he is and his mentality towards things, and like Captain America, like this most recent one, that would make for a very, very bleak film if following him like on that like same course that he's on already. So it's kind of nice to now like bring in like here's a fresh face. Like, it's not like
a fresh face who is not unlike Tony Stark, quite honestly.
Well, and that's even a thing that works really well with it being Doctor Strange that carries this tone, because that's even a thing like back in the books, like back before, it's a thing that's been established in continuity in the books, is that back before Tony was Iron Man and Strange was, like the Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah. Like, they were just two very affluent billionaire douchebags. Yeah. Who hobnobbed in the same circles. Like, parties where like Stark was going in blind drunk and like nailing anything that wasn't like held down. Strange was on the other side of that same party doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Only if one of them has an accident, he can put them back together by the end of the night. So instead of getting trapped in Afghanistan, Dr. Stephen Strange gets into a wicked car accident and turns into Jack Frost. There's a snowman in this.
Yep, that's what happens. He goes back just to shit with his kid.
The trailers are lying to you, people. What happens in this movie is Stephen Strange gets into a car accident because he's traveling with his blues band. I don't know. I haven't read the comics. I guess that's a thing. He comes back as a CGI snowman. It was better when those were practical effects, like in the horror movie Jack Frost. Whatever. He's a CGI snowman. He's got to get to his son Billy Strange's hockey recital at the end.
Spends the entire movie actually dodging Rachel McAdams until the very end to be like, by the way, I'm alive. Goodbye.
Kids putting together the snowman while Landslide is playing. Sure.
And that's our review of Jack Frost.
So good, you guys. That car accident in this movie was slight overkill. I'll just say that.
Or underkill, just considering the fact that he lived through that.
Yeah, no shit. Like, this was like suddenly, like, the movie stops and, like, a clip from Burnout happens. Like, this is, like...
The freeze frames finally at the end crashed.
Yeah. This is one of the... heaviest car accidents that I've seen in a movie. Like, he's lucky he just injured his hands in this goddamn thing.
Yeah, and in all fairness, like, he should have come out like, it's like, your hands will never work again. Like, no. Mm-hmm. And also, you have no legs.
Yeah, and
you're hooked up to this ventilator forever.
And you are just ahead. And we're back. It's like, clean that sucker off. Now I'm just gonna be constantly looking over every 5 seconds to make sure the fucking thing didn't get blurry. Alright, what are we talking about? Stephen Strange severed head after that ridiculous car accident? Like, I would have bought it more if that accident was just the roof was just or just the car was on top of the Empire State Building and somebody just pushed it off.
Yeah, that... Dear God, like, it was flying around, bouncing around off shit like it's fucking pinball.
You haven't seen car accidents this devastating in, like, a Burt Reynolds movie.
It's like, they're like, okay, now, here's what I'm thinking for how the car wreck should look. Mm-hmm. And then they just set out, the old tabletop Crossfire.
Yeah.
It's like... Ping, zing,
ding, 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 poof, fall like 200 feet, fall another 200 feet, fall into some water. I'm surprised at that point a shark didn't come up, just unk, and just take it down with them. My hands!
To put it in perspective, the car crash scene is on par with, like, a Family Guy, like, chicken fight sketch.
Yeah.
Like, it was... I mean, it didn't take that fucking long. Like, it wasn't 5 minutes of the movie, like, alright, we get it.
Yeah.
Down another hill. But, fuck me, it was close.
This was more like playing, Rush 2 on the Nintendo 64, especially in, like, the stunt track area.
Okay,
You hit the ramp going straight up, you fall back down. Oh, that's right, gravity exists. You fall, you hit, like, the green ramp, you burst into flames. Oh, but it's still going. But thank God I got, like, 100 points for doing a couple of loops.
And remarkably, pretty much okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he was any other person, like, who wasn't driven to insane ends to fix his hands, I mean, he still would have lived a pretty good life.
It's like, what broke Benjamin Bratt's back? Did just, like, a bridge fall on him?
Yeah, they kind of talk about his accident, like paralysis from, like, the chest down, partial paralysis in one arm. It's like, what the fuck were you doing?
Fender bender. What? Wow, like, he should already know magic exists. It was magic that made him survive this car accident. I would be like, if I was in, like, Stephen Strange's shoes and I see the Ancient One who's introducing all this magic and all this mysticism to me and everything. In a universe where, like, the Avengers and everything related to those movies exists, I would probably be like, yeah, okay, it makes sense that this is happening right now.
Yeah, because at this point, because, like, it's not like this takes place in some weird, like, you know, bubble where those don't exist, or like, they reference the Avengers by name.
Yeah.
So I have to just assume that he just looks at TV and is like, it's all bullshit anyway, you know?
He's more of a DC fan.
But, like, on the news, you have the fact that there's a guy who could probably stop a bus with his bare hands, who's been alive since World War II. You've got a guy in a flying suit. You've got a fucking actual god flying around hitting things with his hammer when he's not just hitting them with lightning.
Yeah.
And they're like, magic exists. He's like, I'll blow it out your ass.
Ain't seen it with these two eyes.
It's like, everything else in, no, you know what? No, not today. There's a line. I drew it right there.
He also
You
doesn't.
can go fuck yourself.
He also doesn't have Netflix either, so he hasn't seen those. He hasn't seen the shows either. Which we got to talk about the awful whitewashing in this movie, which is the whitewashing of Rosario Dawson in place of Rachel McAdams. That's the controversy, right?
Probably somewhere.
I was re-waiting every now and then, be like, is Rosario Dawson gonna pop up in the background somewhere in here?
Well, I guess that was a big thing with when they started Daredevil, because I think originally that's kind of the role that they were gonna have. That same character, I think, is kind of who they were basically gonna have Rosario Dawson being.
In this?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell they're both not exactly the same character.
Because in the books, eventually, Steven's friend there goes on to become a character called the Night Nurse. That basically she kind of specializes in
porn.
Yes. No, in like basically running like a separate practice, where she offers medical services to basically like superheroes, because like, oh man, like, I'm fucking like Spider-Man. I just broke like one arm and like have a fractured vertebrae from like stopping, fucking Dr. Octopus or some shit. It's like, I can't go to fucking Metro General. Like, it's like, okay, and insurance. I'm like, don't have that. Cool. Can we get your name? Does this count? The mask and the shit? Is all that? No?
They need themselves a David Duchovny from Playing God. This is a car chase! You can't just stop!
So her job in the books is kind of like yeah, she offers like medical support to all these heroes, which comes up a lot in their line of work. You kind of get the shit kicked out of you a lot. And she does it like all discreet style. But then whenever they were starting up with Daredevil, they're like, oh, we just announced we're going to do a Doctor Strange movie, and we're probably going to use that same character in this. So they kind of switched Rosario Dawson to be a slightly different character from the books, who does a very similar thing, and that's where she ended up being Claire Temple.
Yeah.
And essentially still doing the same thing, like she's been helping out, like all the like Netflix series characters so far. So
and she is great on those shows. I still haven't seen Luke Cage yet.
We got like halfway through it, and then like a day later, it's like, fuck, it's October. We got to start watching a horror movie.
Oh yeah.
So we need to get back to it. But from what I've seen so far, it's fucking great. You'll love the soundtrack.
Sweet. Yeah, I just need to kill a weekend and just get through those at some point. But this movie, I mean, God, just in terms of the visual effects alone, it's one of the most imaginative films you'll go see this year. Like, it is unpredictable what they're gonna do next in this. In every action scene in this, you don't know if at one point they might end up in the desert. At one point they might end up on a side of a building that's horizontal. They might end up on Mount Everest.
I mean, you can see some of it in the trailer, but yeah, it's like kind of the idea that they had in like Inception. They kind of take that and just magnify that out. Like, what if we just kept moving shit?
Yeah.
Like, okay, the street went up in Inception. Like, okay, craziness. But what if we just kept going and then like put it all in like it's a kaleidoscope and just going everywhere?
And we have people kicking the shit out of each other. And what if they end up in space? What if there's some trippy shit where he's got hands growing out of his fingers, and then they start growing hands, and then they start growing hands?
That was absolutely terrifying, by the way.
I heard you next to me just,
Do not want. I'm sorry. The idea of, like, small fingers growing out of the ends of your finger, abject terror. It looks more horrifying than you would think.
What did you slip into my drink, Dave? What? Huh?
Oh, you got my cup there, sugar? Oh. God damn it, Dave.
Dave, you're a stay-at-home dad.
He's not sneaking around being roofie, Dave.
Don't worry, Dave doesn't actually go around roofing people. This conversation got away from us. We used our magic powers to open a portal, and we thought we were going somewhere nice, but it turned out to be Roofie Dave. Because we used the dark side in our magic.
I sincerely hope that, I hope that somewhere out there, there's a list of all these dumb names we keep calling.
There was Chip Eatin' Dave.
Chip Eatin' Dave, he's my favorite.
Little Dave was one. I can't even remember how that got brought up. Oh God. I can't. Well, even Slaver Brian.
Yeah.
There's like you called Irving like Nazi sympathizer Irving in the Grown Ups 2 review.
Well, some of the shit he was saying. It's like, ease up there, Charles Lindbergh.
And now Roofie Dave.
I'm not saying he's gonna roofie you, but like if you're at a bar with him, like just watch your drink. I don't know.
God. Yeah,
he might do it now just as a lark. Like, like I'll show you. Boop.
He is now. Next time we drink with him, it's Dr. Roofie Dave. But no, I mean, all due honesty, this is a very good movie. Mads Mikkelsen kicked ass as the villain.
Yeah, no, he is the right level of too intense to be anything else but a bad guy.
Yeah, and I usually have a problem with a lot of villains from these movies, as is kind of a common criticism of these films. No, his role in this, I mean, maybe it's just because he's just a genuinely intimidating person anyway, so it doesn't really matter what he's saying or doing. Like, you don't fuck with that guy.
Yeah, he's already intimidating, and then he does some fucked up shit to where, like, it looks like his eyes are, like just, like, embers, like, ashing off from his face. I'm like, that's really scary.
Yeah, how did you... You can call yourself Ancient One as much as you want, but how do you miss the fact that he will turn out evil?
Yeah, like, how is she sitting there is like, I mean, this seems like... I mean, he'll probably just get magic powers and be cool. Like
Hannibal Lecter should not have magic powers. Neither should Le Chiffre from Casino Royale. They don't need magic.
Yeah, it's just that... He's got that thing in his eye where there's something inside of him that's broken and it will harm you.
Yeah, and then he starts talking and you're like, of course he has that voice.
Yeah, no good guy has that voice. No good guy talks like that. Like if he was like if the roles were reversed, like I think like Benedict Cumberbatch I think could do just fine as the villain in this film.
He absolutely could. He's another one with a voice that's like, oh yeah, you can play a bad guy. Just talk, it'll send shivers down my spine.
Cause shit, like I know that the second Star Trek movie got a lot of criticism.
He was good though.
But yeah, like as soon as he shows up on screen and starts talking, it's like, so the bad guy.
Yeah.
He's the bad guy.
Yeah,
like no questions.
That movie had a lot of problems, and it's not that great of a movie, but whenever he was on screen, most of the time, like...
But where he could work as the villain in this movie, yeah, if Mads Mikkelsen was like, it's like Doctor Strange, no, I'm fucking sorry. I am not buying that shit for a minute.
what
Especially the parts where he's supposed to be like a surgeon in there, like basically like stoking his own ego. I'm like, it's like, yeah, and then he goes home and like chops up prostitutes or some shit.
Everyone's got to have a vice. I watched Hannibal, and his cooking was fantastic on that show. I mean, say what you want about the ingredients, the presentation was magnificent.
I've learned from cooking shows that that's like half the thing right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, sure, it tastes amazing, but if it looks like shit, I mean, you might as well throw it away.
Right? It's like, yeah, technically it is Eddie Izzard's leg that's being eaten, but that is the best Thanksgiving feast you've ever seen. Something about good leg meat that he makes work. Well, what comic book hero would you expect Mads Mikkelsen to play?
I'm trying to think of a heroic character I could possibly see him as.
Yeah. Maybe like Old Testament biblical hero. You could play Samson. You could play King David. Or, remember when we reviewed Ant-Man and I was like, so was there ever a Baby Man comic? They made a joke about Baby Man, and then I was like, wait, I don't read comics. Maybe that actually is a thing. I asked you, I'm like, is that a thing? Was there a Baby Man? It's like, best to my knowledge, there was never a Baby Man. There is now, because Allison and I got the trailer for Boss Baby earlier.
Oh God, I've been hearing about that.
Does not look like the comics.
Strays too far from the source material.
The mind of a man with all the powers of a baby.
Brilliant business acumen, ability to hold things. No. Fuck.
It was one issue. It was in the 70s. It's back when Batman turned into a 3-year-old in one comic. I know some comics. The only comics I know are dumb ones like that. It's like I could drop a reference to when Batman turned into a 3-year-old.
Oh, you mean the classic Bat Baby issue?
Yeah, the Bat Baby one. Well, Robin, it looks like it's you carrying me this time.
God damn it.
So good. So good. When is that going to happen in one of these? Doctor Strange has the power to turn his enemies into a baby.
Well, technically with that, like...
He can do it.
That rolling back time thing he kept doing, like...
Oh, of course that happened. Ooh, bam. There, I'm using my magic.
Whee!
My magic is very slow. Really, all I can do is just make things in focus again.
And he refuses to fix my goddamn eyes.
I got you those sweet glasses.
The fucking glasses that Frank Zito had. It's like, well, I mean, I thought I'd come by and see what you're doing here.
I remember you were laughing like I don't know the fact that the first movie I'm seeing after switching my glasses is Barbie.
It's like, oh good, now that I look like a pedophile, let's go do this. Should have worn my trench coat.
God damn it. Right,
it's just one of those days, isn't it?
It is one of those days. Fuck. Camera's going more out of focus than we are in this conversation. Like, we really like the movie. We're gonna stray.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, I really don't want to, like, spoil anything. Like, there's a lot of really good moments in this.
It's a funny movie, too.
And there weren't really any of the jokes, too, like, that were ever, like, groaners.
No, I mean, some hit more than others. There were some that hit where it was kind of like, I didn't laugh necessarily, and I was a little like, yeah, this is getting very Tony Starky in some parts, where it's kind of just a joke just because they felt the need to throw a joke in there. But I was never like, ugh, or anything like that.
Like, again with this bullshit.
Yeah, I was never like that, really, and Benedict Cumberbatch is always just a commanding presence on screen. Just his voice alone, I thought he did just fine doing an American accent.
But that's an odd thing for me, is that, and I don't know why it is, if it's just the kind of character he is or what, but for some reason, like, Doctor Strange is always one of those characters I always would have assumed, like, if anybody has, like a British accent, I would assume it would be Doctor Strange. Based off of nothing other than, he just kind of seems like that would be his sort of thing. And I think even, like some of the different, like, Marvel Comics-based, like, cartoons that there have been over the years, like, if they've included Doctor Strange, like, I think he's had, like, a vaguely British accent.
Has he really?
I think in, like, I think it was, like, when he shows up, I think it's in that, the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, maybe? He shows up in one of those, and I think I'd have to, it's been fucking forever since I've played those, but I think he has a vaguely British accent in that, so for them to then hire a British actor and be like, no, talk American.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it just felt off to me, but it didn't, like, it wasn't, like, it was never, like, the sort of thing where I was sitting here, like, it's like, God, that's not your voice,
It took a little getting used to at first. Not that he was doing bad. Like, he never did a bad job with it.
But yeah, mostly just because it's not the sound you expect to hear out of his mouth.
Exactly. Yeah. So after a little bit, it didn't take me very long, but after a little bit, I eventually was like, oh, okay, yeah, he sounds perfectly fine. I don't really notice any slips or anything going on in here.
Well, because, like, you know, it's the sort of thing too with, like, a lot of British actors is, like, basically whatever you know them from, that's the voice you associate with them.
Yeah.
So, like, I know, like I didn't really have any exposure to, like, Hugh Laurie before, like, House. So I started watching that. I'm like, oh, this is really good. And then, you know, seeing something like you know, older of his, like,
Wooster and
yeah, like Jeeves and Wooster,
yeah.
or stuff like
Stuart Little.
Exactly. No, like some of the stuff he did with, like, Stephen Fry, like, it's like, oh fuck, yeah, that's weird that, okay, but yeah, he is actually, okay, that's his real voice.
Or what about Bob Hoskins?
Yeah, yeah. Whenever you actually hear what he sounds like, is like when he's not doing every other movie in his career where he's like I don't know, he's from Brooklyn or some shit.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I'm sure the first movie you saw him in was the first movie I saw him in, which would have been Roger Rabbit. I imagine that was the first one and then, like,
first one I can remember anyway.
Yeah. And then seeing him interviewed about Roger Rabbit, I just remember being very taken aback.
It's like, is he doing a bit? got some shtick here. Well, and even just, like, dumb shit, like I'd seen Andrew Lincoln in a few things before he was ever on The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So when that first started, it's like it's kind of weird hearing him talking in, you know, like that sort of, like, Southern accent now. But then now it's at the point where, like, after this new season started, we were watching a little bit of, like, The Talking Dead after it, and it's like, wow, right, British, forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like, there was that other thing about him, right? That's it.
They need to do, like, the next Doctor Strange movie that comes out. They need to bring in John Strange, the character that Richard Coyle played in the short-lived BBC series Strange, where he was John Strange and he was hunting demons, and he's British.
That would work out. There's some overlap there.
Only about 6 episodes, but that was pretty entertaining. I think that was one of the first things he did after leaving Coupling. So he was still kind of Jeffish a little bit on there, but hunting demons as John Strange, and it kind of worked.
I was very sad about a thing with this one that I didn't realize I should be sad about until the movie was over and the credits started going there. Is that I didn't realize, and I think it's because, like, his character was never really a name, but one of Mads Mikkelsen's henchmen
Scott Adkins.
was Scott Adkins.
Yeah.
Just keep putting hands at you. The movie was in 3D, so that works out too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is all intentional.
The 3D in this is way better. But yeah, like I started seeing like the credits pop up, like Benedict Cumberbatch and Mads Mikkelsen, like, and then in the one corner's like Scott Adkins. I'm like, who the fuck was he?
Yeah, and I felt bad for missing it too. Like, I almost said something, but I didn't want to feel like, how did I miss him? So yeah, actually, that's really relieving. You did too. Like, I just assumed you and everyone else noticed he was there as well, and like, I'm the like, okay,
it's like, oh yeah. Boom, right up there.
Yeah.
Fucking king-headed Glazer right there.
Once I saw his name on the credit and thought back, I was like, oh, okay, now I remember who he was, but he didn't look like how he normally looks in movies.
But yeah, like since he's one of Mad's kind of, henchmen there, like,
yeah.
He's got like the fucked up thing going on with his eyes, and if he is on screen, he is kicking the shit out of somebody, so he's always moving,
which is usually the case with Scott Adkins movies.
But I mean, like, he was easier to identify in like that ninja movie, or one of the ninja movies he did,
oh yeah,
than he was in this, where you can actually see his fucking face.
Or that piece of shit we went to go see, the Brothers Grimsby.
Oh yeah,
that piece of shit. We recognized him in that. He's one of the only good things about that. I don't even remember that much about his character in that. I just remember being like, oh cool, Scott Adkins is in a movie. Cheers. There. It went out of focus. I didn't just have a stroke or anything.
It's like, okay, Brad. I didn't want to stop you there, but
I'm doing my thing. It's my new sign out now.
Cups to you, buddy.
No, this is absolutely worth going to see. I mean, it's got a great sense of humor to it. The action is always wildly impressive, and if you look at the trailer and you just think like, oh, it's like Inception, like, no, it goes way beyond that. It has one similar scene, and that's it. Like, if that's enough for you to be like, same fucking movie, we've already seen this shit, it's like, then fuck off. Go fuck yourself. Yeah. There's a lot more. I mean, there's a lot more wild shit going on in here. But you're like, it's Inception if they end up in Everest in one scene.
Well, they do end up, when they go deeper, up in the mountains. In all the snow.
Oh, that is true, yeah.
But really, if you wanted to compare this to anything, Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer has the exact same third act.
It does. This is a better movie, though. Like, there's still, like, it... Yeah.
But yeah, like, watching that scene, like, oh man, now the final battle is gonna take place on this street in Hong Kong. I'm like, is this the same fucking street?
I think it is.
Like, I feel like I've seen another movie that ends this exact same way. Even fighting against like a giant, like, amorphous smoke cloud.
Yeah.
But this one, yeah, far and away does a way better job with all of these ideas.
It does a way better job with it. Just imagine, like, that climax of Rise of the Silver Surfer, but throw in elements from like the climax to Superman the Motion Picture and Groundhog Day. and you have Doctor Strange.
Late 90s. It was a Rutger Hauer film where he had some like staff that had a crystal in it, and like there were other people trying to get the crystal, and there was a bunch of like they kept like teleporting to different places, like, fuck, what was it called? It's like Crossworlds or something like that.
I don't think I saw this one.
Fuck, that's bugging me now.
Oh.
Fuck, my phone's over there. It's a light source.
That's alright. We should probably wrap this up soon anyway, because that focus is driving me fucking nuts. I don't think I saw that one. I don't think I saw that Rutger Hauer one. I guess I was too busy watching Split Second that day.
Too busy watching Blind Fury.
Yeah. Wanted Dead or Alive. No, now I know what I'm watching when I get home. It's a Rutger Hauer movie from around then that I missed. I recommend seeing this in theaters. Guys, especially, I mean, you've probably already made up your mind whether you want to see this movie or not, but no, it's a good time. The visuals are impressive as shit. It makes it wildly unpredictable. There's a fun, entertaining, funny hero. Good villains, good fighting, and it's not too long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It pretty much gets right to the point in every single one of its acts. But
and definitely, if you can catch a 3D screening of it,
yeah, it's worth it.
It definitely adds to it, and even Letty was saying that like this is about one of the first 3D movies where getting out of it she didn't feel like headachy or anything like that. It's real clean, and it doesn't do a lot of oh, here's a couple people fighting in the goddamn dark and you can't tell what's going on. It's just a muddy mess.
Check it out in IMAX 3D. That's probably really cool. We didn't see it in IMAX 3D, but I could tell you right away that would be pretty cool. I don't know what next week is. I'm not sure what movies are coming out next week. I know that Fantastic Beasts is coming out here pretty soon. Yeah, I don't know. Something will be coming out next week.
There will be movies, and we'll watch them.
Yeah, we'll watch it. Whatever it is. See ya.